In our headlines on this Friday, August 29th, here in South Korea, the cabinet approves a budget bill worth well over 700 trillion won for the first time, with spending on research and development raised almost 20% on year. And back from his trips to neighboring Japan and the US, President Lee Jae-myung presides over Friday's extraordinary cabinet meeting by sharing his gratitude to all those involved. Meanwhile, North Korea's Kim Jong-un will be in China next week for Beijing's Victory Day military parade, and he's expected to be joined by Russia's Vladimir Putin. The Lee Jae-myung administration has approved a budget bill worth well over 700 trillion won for next year, and it's betting big on research and development. Our economics correspondent Kim Do-yeon has details.
The South Korean government on Friday approved the budget proposal for 2026, a spending plan worth 728 trillion won or 524 billion US dollars. This is the first budget proposal for President Lee Jae-myung with a theme of recovery and growth, and it's also the first budget proposal to surpass 700 trillion won.
현재 우리 경제는 신기술 주도의 산업 경제 혁신, 그리고 외풍에 취약한 수출 의존형 경제 개선이라고 하는 두 가지 과제를 동시에 안고 있습니다. 오늘 국무회의에서 의결될 내년도 예산안은 이러한 두 가지 과제를 동시에 해결하고 경제 대혁신을 통해서 회복과 성장을 이끌어내기 위한 마중물입니다.
This marks a sharp 8.1% increase compared to last year's main budget, a significant jump from the 2.5 and 2.8% growth rates seen in the two previous years. The government says it's focusing on performance-based financing, restructuring spending to invest more in what works.
For next year's budget, the government has focused on performance-based fiscal management by drastically cutting what's unnecessary and boldly investing in what must be done.
In fact, 27 trillion won was cut from restructuring inefficient projects and administrative costs from before. And much of that has been focused on artificial intelligence as the government makes efforts to focus on making the nation top 3 in the industry. That's most clear in the R&D budget, which will jump a record 19.3% from last year. Among the 12 main budget categories, this is the biggest hike. On top of R&D, the government will purchase 15,000 GPUs to build out the nation's AI infrastructure. Also notable is 2.1 trillion won, or around $1.5 billion, that's been proposed to help industries hit by U.S. tariffs, including support for shipbuilding. Direct monetary support for citizens will also grow. Most notably, a new pilot program for residents in rural areas will give 240,000 people in select counties 150,000 won per month. But all this spending inevitably leads to more debt. The nation's debt-to-GDP ratio, which had remained under 50%, will surpass that mark next year at 51.6%. By 2029, the government expects that figure to reach 58%. President Lee, however, said this is not the time to tighten the belt.
뿌릴 씨앗이 부족하다고 밭을 묵혀놓는 그런 우를 범할 수는 없습니다. 씨앗을 빌려서라도 뿌려서 농사를 준비하는 게 상식이고 순리입니다.
The budget proposal now heads to the National Assembly for a review and passing as a bill. The ruling Democratic Party's majority makes its passage highly likely. A final vote is constitutionally required by early December, with the bill expected to pass largely reflecting the administration's original vision before the end of the year. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Also, during that cabinet meeting, the president shared his gratitude to all those involved in ensuring a successful diplomatic mission over in Japan and in the US. Our presidential office correspondent Song Yoo-jin reports.
Fresh off from his back-to-back trips to Japan and the United States, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung opened Friday's extraordinary cabinet meeting by thanking all those who contributed to the visits.
국민 여러분의 성원 덕분에 미국과 일본 순방을 잘 마무리하고 돌아왔습니다. 진심으로 감사드립니다. 팀 코리아의 정신으로 현지에서 혼연일체로 함께 헌신해 주신 기업인 여러분 그리고 언론인 여러분께도 각별히 감사 인사를 드립니다.
The president pledged to advance his administration's pragmatic diplomacy, saying it is built on the trust and personal rapport he established with his counterparts this time.
외교도 결국 사람이 하는 일이고 국익을 지키려면 마음을 얻어야 합니다. 이번 순방에서 형성된 따뜻한 신뢰 관계를 바탕으로 우리의 국익을 지키고 다른 주변 국가의 협력도 보다 확대해 나가도록 하겠습니다.
In a social media post on Thursday, President Lee said the most meaningful outcome of his U.S. visit was forming deep trust with President Donald Trump through a candid conversation. Their first face-to-face meeting lasted over 2 hours, far longer than planned. Before heading to Washington, President Lee held his second summit with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba in Tokyo. Their talks were seen as an early resumption of Seoul and Tokyo's frequent leader-level meetings, which the two leaders agreed upon during their first meeting at the G7 summit in Canada this June. With both trips now completed, President Lee called for bipartisan support to sustain this diplomatic momentum.
외교 문제나 국익에 관해서는 최소한 다른 목소리가 없었으면 좋겠습니다.
For that, he said he would move quickly to brief the ruling and opposition party leaders on the outcomes of his trips and discuss ways to work together. During the closed-door meeting that followed the president's remarks, the foreign ministry outlined ways to follow through on the two trips' achievements, including through the participation of the Japanese and U.S. leaders at the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting in Gyeongju this October. 송유진, Arirang News.
In other news, South Korea is seeking to set a fresh pace of diplomacy with North Korea, but Seoul's top security advisor is cautious about setting expectations too high. Our correspondent Oh Soo-young explains.
South Korea's top security official has warned against premature optimism for dialogue with Pyongyang, even as Presidents Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump signaled eagerness to engage North Korea. In a radio interview on Friday, National Security Advisor Ri Sung-rak said it is more constructive not to set expectations too high, stressing that North Korea has shown no willingness so far to engage with either Seoul or Washington. He added that Chairman Kim Jong-un's attendance at the APEC meeting in South Korea's Gyeongju this October should be seen as unlikely. The comments come as Seoul pursues North Korea diplomacy following the Korea-US summit on Monday, where President Lee pledged to be the pacemaker if President Trump revives his role as the peacemaker. We described Kim's planned trip to Beijing next month for China's Victory Day events as a development to watch, raising the possibility of the North Korean leader meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping or Russian President Vladimir Putin. He cautioned closer ties between the three sides could sharpen fault lines against South Korea's strengthened trilateral cooperation with the US and Japan. On that note, it's uncertain whether Kim Jong-un will meet with National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik, who will attend the parade in President Lee's place. Seoul's Unification Ministry on Friday said it would not prejudge but monitor whether contact is made. The ministry also stated nothing has been decided when asked if a Unification Ministry official would accompany the speaker to Beijing. Still, while the chances may be slim, there's speculation Kim's China diplomacy may lead to potential dialogue with Washington.
Because President Trump may try to meet Kim Jong-un on the occasion of the APEC summit, I think it's likely Kim will seek prior consultations with Xi Jinping, just as he did in 2018 and 2019 before meeting President Trump.
But it's unclear how involved South Korea would be if US-North Korea talks go ahead.
Even if Chairman Kim Jong-un and President Trump meet again, it's more likely they would meet on the northern side of Panmunjom, not the southern side. Depending on circumstances, Kim could even propose the Wonsan-Kaima Coastal Tourism District. In any case, whatever form a Trump-Kim meeting takes, Seoul is likely to offer all necessary conveniences to President Trump.
While North Korea's latest remarks have continued to sharply criticize Seoul, the regime has not ruled out engagement with the US, though it has rejected the idea of denuclearization. North Korea's Rodong-Sinmun report confirmed on Friday that Kim would be travelling to China for the Victory Day parade. 오수영, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the U.S. will not take part in the United Nations' upcoming human rights review. Washington will neither participate in the Universal Periodic Review procedure scheduled for November, nor submit its own report, and has reportedly notified the UN Human Rights Council of its decision. The Universal Periodic Review is a system whereby all UN member states undergo an evaluation of their human rights record from fellow member states roughly every 5 years. If the U.S. fails to submit a report by 2027, it will become the first UN member not to file one under the UPR system. Over in Ukraine, a massive air raid by Russia took at least 21 lives and destroyed buildings in Kyiv, including the headquarters of the EU mission there. Our Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
At least 21 people, including 4 children, have been killed in a massive Russian drone and missile strike on Kyiv, marking the second largest attack to date. Dozens more were wounded, with officials warning the toll could rise. Powerful explosions shook the city throughout the early hours of Thursday, damaging buildings in 33 locations across the city's 10 districts. Among the sites hit were the headquarters of the European Union mission to Ukraine and the British Council. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky condemned the assault as proof that Moscow has no intention of pursuing peace, saying Russian President Vladimir Putin is choosing ballistics over real steps toward peace.
In Washington, we heard that Putin is apparently ready for the end of the war and for a meeting at the level of leaders and the resolution of key issues. But he is choosing ballistics instead of any real steps towards peace.
International reaction was also swift, with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen saying she was outraged by Russia's actions, noting the EU's delegation's building in Kyiv had also been damaged.
I'm outraged by the attack on Kyiv, also hitting our EU offices. This was the deadliest drone and missile attack on the capital since July. And as you can see behind me on the screen, it was an attack also on our delegation.
The attack on Kyiv came just 2 weeks after U.S. President Donald Trump met with Vladimir Putin in Alaska to discuss ending the conflict. On Thursday, the White House said President Trump was not happy when he learned of the strikes.
He was not happy about this news, but he was also not surprised. These are 2 countries that have been at war for a very long time.
According to the White House press secretary, neither side is ready to end the war themselves, adding that Trump will comment on the matter later. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Back on the local front, rival political parties have concluded their respective 2-day workshops with a renewed resolve to better address national tasks ahead of the regular parliamentary session starting in September. Our correspondent Shin Ha-young has more.
Rival lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Party and the main opposition People Power Party wrapped up their 2-day workshops in the city of Incheon on Friday by adopting and unveiling new resolutions. In its resolution, the DP stated that the party will work with the people to fully end the insurrection and restore the economy. Lawmakers stressed that the party must rebuild democracy and the constitutional order weakened over the past 3 years and create a prosperous Korea for all. They added that they will pass bills on people's livelihoods and reform, complete major societal changes, and dedicate themselves to the success of the Lee Jae-myung administration and the country.
We spent 2 days in intense discussions on reform and stabilizing people's livelihoods, and resolved that the ruling party, the government, and the presidential office must work as one team to ensure the success of the Lee Jae-myung administration. Reform may be harder than revolution, but if we stay united, we can overcome any challenge.
The DP has selected 224 key bills to prioritize in the upcoming regular session of the National Assembly in September and beyond. The list includes bills on reform of the prosecution, media, and judiciary, as well as measures to develop the AI industry. PPP lawmakers, on the other hand, acknowledged their shortcomings but vowed to change, as well as pledging to counter what they've dubbed legislative overreach by the Lee Jae-myung administration and the DP.
I believe this conference has become an occasion for us to resolve to transform ourselves into a true policy-oriented party, a people's livelihood party, and a party that advances with strategies and tactics, fighting together without leaving anyone behind.
It also announced its plan to prioritize 100 bills for the upcoming regular session, focusing on revitalizing the economy, public livelihoods, and trust. They are categorized into 7 areas, including youth empowerment, fostering high-tech industries, and political innovation. Key proposals include bills to strengthen the effectiveness of confirmation hearings, with several due to take place next week, monitor Electoral Commission corruption, and amend the law on public office elections to tighten the requirements for granting foreigners the right to vote. The party also plans to push for commercial and inheritance tax law reforms to stimulate the economy, along with measures to address issues related to cryptocurrency and real estate. The regular session of the National Assembly will kick off on Monday at 2 p.m. 신하영, Arirang News.
The World Taekwondo Grand Prix Challenge is currently underway in the southern part of the country. That being said, we go live to our Park Hyo-bin, who is standing by at the venue of the event this year. Hyo-bin, welcome. So where exactly are you joining us from?
So good afternoon, Sunny. I am now at Taekwondo 1 is T1 Stadium here in Muju County, Jeollabuk-do Province. As you can see behind me, the World Taekwondo Grand Prix Challenge is underway. The stadium is full of energy as more than 300 athletes from 32 countries taking part. So this Grand Prix Challenge was first introduced in 2022 by Taekwondo Promotion Foundation and World Taekwondo as a G2 ranked international event. It was designed to promote Taekwondo, discover new talent, and give athletes wider access to the Olympics. Winners can earn up to 20 ranking points, making this a crucial first step toward the Olympic Games. In fact, the top 3 finishers in each weight class will also qualify for the next year's Muju Taekwondo 1 Grand Prix Series, a G6 event that awards as many as 60 points. Now take a listen to people who've come here to cheer for those taking part.
I came here with my teammates to cheer for one of them who's competing, hoping they'll finish first. Being here has made me really want to stand on a stage like this myself one day.
I'm from the U.S. and I came here because we have quite a few athletes competing here. My son being one of them, he competed yesterday in -80 and actually won the gold, so that was super exciting.
And our words of congratulations to her and her son. Now, Hyo-bin, this event is often referred to as the gateway to the Olympics. Could you explain this for us?
So Taekwondo has different forms like gyeorugi and pumse, but this competition is all about gyeorugi or sparring, which is the Olympic discipline of Taekwondo. So athletes aim to score points by striking the opponent's chest protector and headgear with extra points for spinning kicks. They wear electronic gear that registers the impact in real time. And in 2000, gyeorugi has been a regular feature in Olympic Games.
One last question, Hyo-bin, before we let you go. I hear this year's event is quite special. Why so?
So in the past, this event was only limited to the lower-ranked athletes. But starting this year, the World Taekwondo has shifted to a 2-year Olympic ranking cycle instead of 4. That means this year's event includes some of the sport's very best, like Olympic gold medalists Park Tae-jun and Kim Yoo-jin, as well as athletes currently ranked #1 in the world. Park Tae-jun, who actually won the very first Grand Prix challenge before taking a gold medal in Paris Olympics, will compete here on Saturday. There's also another special element this year. To reflect the Olympic spirit of inclusion, the organizers invited athletes from developing nations as well as participants from the refugee program, giving them a chance to compete on this global stage. The competition runs until this Sunday, showcasing the passion and spirit of Taekwondo on a global stage. That's all I have for now. Back to you, Sunny.
All right, Hyo-bin, thank you for that coverage. Moving on now, Gyeongju City is gearing up to host the APEC leaders meeting later this autumn, and preparations are underway to offer participants a cultural experience to last well beyond the annual gathering. Our culture correspondent Park Eun-woo was there.
A city alive with millennia of history, Gyeongju is set to light up APEC 2025 with its vibrant cultural scene. From ancient treasures to modern innovations, the city prepares to showcase how culture fuels creativity and drives economic growth.
We're preparing a variety of cultural programs so that everyone can enjoy Korea's past and present, showcasing the power of our culture, especially as the event takes place in Gyeongju.
One highlight is a special exhibition at the Gyeongju National Museum, featuring artifacts from the Silla dynasty, including 6 golden crowns, all displayed together for the first time. The museum will also hold the APEC banquet. The banquet hall in the middle court of the Gyeongju National Museum is now entering its final stage of construction. Built in a traditional style using wood, this venue will soon be ready to welcome and fascinate APEC leaders. Work will be completed by September so that it can host events including K-pop and traditional performances during APEC. The museum's merchandise has also been selling out, especially after the global hit K-pop Demon Hunters. Inspired by Gyeongju's heritage, these goods are especially popular with foreign visitors. The museum has already welcomed 1 million visitors this year, including many people from abroad.
Compared to the past, when most visitors were from China or Japan, now even Europeans are visiting. Many purchase goods after learning the cultural significance behind them.
Earlier this week, Gyeongju hosted the first ever high-level dialogue on culture and creative industries under APEC, attracting cultural representatives who seemed already impressed by the city's richness.
The host is going to impress me much more with the cultural sites that you have, your temples, your ancestral heritage, in order to also export talent. It would be super valid and super interesting to have, for example, cross-business expectations, synergies, cross-cultural ideas.
With expectations high, Gyeongju continues preparing to welcome the delegations when they return in late October.
A city where brilliant ancient history and culture will still alive. I prefer to mention it as an ancient future city, embracing digital innovation and creative industry to pave the way where the past and the future move forward together.
Gyeongju officials added that more efforts will be made to ensure APEC 2025 is also a success. 박건우, Arirang News, Gyeongju.
And for those of you here interested in Korean beauty products and trends, there's a related event taking place right in the heart of Seoul. Our Pyongyang took a look.
A machine scans the face. AI technology then analyzes skin tone and condition, recommending products from a vast database. It's one of the many innovative K-beauty products visitors can try at Seoul Beauty Week.
Seoul Beauty Week is not just an exhibition. It's a beauty festival that the general public can also enjoy. For businesses, it provides opportunities to expand their networks, while for the public, it offers a chance to truly experience and enjoy K-beauty. That's the purpose of our event.
On opening day, a special biz preview tour gave industry buyers and decision makers a first look at K-beauty before the event opened to the public. From global bestsellers to emerging brands, visitors can test products, participate in fun events, and take home samples or full-sized products that reflect the very best in the industry.
This is the Trend Zone, where nearly 120 companies are showcasing the latest in K-beauty, from skincare and body care to beauty tech and lifestyle products.
Here, visitors can design their own facial mist, picking a serum to match their skin type and a fragrance to fit their style, and they can even add a personalized label on the spot. Many booths also highlight eco-friendly concepts and natural ingredients. Others show the science behind the skincare, from AI-powered tools to the latest in beauty tech. In keeping with its goal of globalizing K-beauty, the event is geared up for foreign visitors.
I really appreciate they also speak English when they introduce the new product, so we can understand better.
Away from the stalls, there is a whole range of exciting programs, from global marketing seminars to makeup shows and influencer talks featuring fan-favorite beauty gurus. Seoul Beauty Week runs until August 30th at Dongdaemun Design Plaza. Pyongyang, Arirang News.
September is just around the corner when we are supposed to enter autumn, but the heat is still continuing. While heatwave warnings have been issued in most parts of the country, the number of heatwave warning areas is increasing every day. Today, the daytime temperatures were as high as 33 degrees Celsius across the country with humid conditions. Showers have fallen mainly on the west today. Showers are forecast in the central parts of the country, the Jeollado provinces, and Jeju Island tomorrow. It will rain in most parts of the country on Sunday. If you have any plans to go out, you should bring an umbrella. The morning will start at 26 degrees in Seoul and Busan tomorrow, Jeju at 27 degrees. Daily highs will rise to 31 degrees in Seoul, Gyeongju and Daegu 35 degrees. Hot weather and frequent showers are expected throughout next week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, so do stay with us. Thank you for now.